Where the heck is God of War Ragnarok and Final Fantasy Remake Part 2? These are two gigantic question marks. They're big mysteries of the gaming industry because we know they exist, we've seen trailers of them both, and yet they've not materialized. Until today. What's up, gamers? Dreamcastguy here. So this is going to be just such a fun video to film because honestly, I'm such a God of War nut, and also Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game of all time. So please, if you're hyped with me, give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. But now, let's dig into the deliciousness. So they just announced this over on Twitter, which is the Final Fantasy VII Remake Twitter account said, join us next week for 10 minutes to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII. Co-stream and broadcast and share your reactions. Please be excited. Now, the logo itself is fascinating because this is a completely new piece of art that's been created for this media event. Now, two things about this immediately grabbed my attention, which is that first and foremost, this is kind of late in the day for Americans. This is definitely a Japanese-focused broadcast. For me right here, this is actually going to be happening at 9 p.m. This is very, very late in the day, so it's clear they want this to be early morning over in Japan. But why else? Why is it that they do this? Well, additionally, the fact that it's on June 16th, I think that they're additionally doing this in an effort to try and sort of remind us about the fact that there are multiple big Final Fantasy VII projects that are currently in development, including Ever Crisis, which it seems like nobody's talking about. Remember, they're currently working on a weird remake, where they're sort of rebuilding the original version of old school PlayStation 1 Final Fantasy 1 for cell phones, and it's going to apparently be free to play with a gacha system. There's been some talks inside of Square Enix themselves that there's possibly going to be just a shadow drop of that this week, so we may see that. But this custom logo is honestly very, very gorgeous. Here, just for fun, let's open this up on its own. Look how freaking good that looks with Zack, Cloud, and Sephiroth, the big gigantic one wing just wrapped around them. This seems nice, but more than that, there's this interesting detail. So what you're looking at here, this guy IBS, this is one of the primary influencers, or this is the primary Square Enix social media guy. And he says this, it's his pinned tweet, in fact, do not miss this. Streamers, feel free to co-stream it. This is crazy. And look, even some of the replies, people are like, look, hype train. He says, it's too late. We killed the brakes. Get hyped. Something is about to go on. I am extremely excited about this. I'm completely obsessed with Final Fantasy VII. I know there's a lot of problems with Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1, but I'm very, very confident about Remake Part 2 just because I'm so curious to see the new directions they're probably going to take it. Additionally, there have been some big rumors that Square Enix originally wanted the Final Fantasy VII Remake to possibly be 5 parts. They have scaled that down to 3 parts, a big trilogy. So if this is our first chance to see even a glimpse of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, that would be incredibly hyped. They have said that we're going to see something from Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 at some point in June. And surprise, let me look at my invisible watch. It's currently June. I'm excited to see what the heck this is. I'm definitely going to stay up late to watch it because why the heck not? But now let's talk about the other piece of news, which is this talk about God of War Ragnarok. Apparently, we are not only about to get an official release date for God of War Ragnarok, but additionally, we're about to see a full state of play dedicated to Kratos and Atreus. Now, what the heck is going on? Over the course of the last couple days, there have been some big rumors circulating across the internet that apparently they were going to delay God of War Ragnarok to 2023. Now, Bloomberg decided to release this report. This is by the very famous leaker Jason Schreier, who still has me blocked on Twitter and still probably pays women for feet pics. But here's what's going on. So he's almost releasing this as a rebuttal to the other leaks, talking about the fact that there is no talks about this being slipped to 2023. God of War Ragnarok is extremely high intensity pressure inside of Sony itself. It sounds like because the first game did sell 20 million copies, Everybody loves the original God of War 2018 so freaking much, myself included. That's sort of the game that won me over to being a God of War fan. Well, it seems like what's going on is that right now they want to try and sell as many copies as possible of God of War Ragnarok. Right now, they're still trying to manufacture as many PlayStation 5s as possible. I mean, the demand vastly exceeds the supply, and yet, with 117 million PlayStation units for the PlayStation 4, 20 million PlayStation 5s out there, I think they realize that this is a good chance to drop it. But inside this report, they talk about the fact that we're about to get a God of War Ragnarok release date and a state of play coming up here at the end of the month, and it's going to apparently say the release date is November. So this to me is good and bad. I'm kind of curious to see how it ends up selling initially, just purely of my own curiosity. I've talked to a couple of my own sources, and I'm trying to be a bit vague here, but they essentially said that God of War Ragnarok is still kind of coming in hot. It is still very heavily in development. They're still trying to polish it. One person told me that essentially it could use the time in the oven. I'm just serious. Like, the idea of this dropping in November, I think this is one of those games that probably, if it did get delayed, it would not hurt it, but I do think it would hurt the sales. I'm just eternally curious to see. November seems like such a peculiar release date. It does seem a bit scattershot, because typically game developers like to try and release things in early October, mid-October, or late October. Like, look at Call of Duty, look at, Alan Wake or whatever the heck. Like, most games, you try and release stuff a little bit before the holiday kicks off, so you build up that hype and momentum before the holidays are actually here. Is this going to affect it? I guess in the grand scheme of things, no. I guess most of us are still mostly curious just about how good this game is going to be. God of War Ragnarok is the end of this storyline. They have officially confirmed that this is the end of this particular pantheon. All the gods in this land are about to be dead. Thor is probably about to bite the intergalactic dust. And I am still just incredibly hyped to play it myself. But what do you think? Are you excited for the idea of God of War Ragnarok? Are you still skeptical about this release date, or do you think that Jason Schreier just downright sucks? Additionally, tell me your thoughts about the Final Fantasy VII Remake, because holy heck, do I want to see even a tease of Part 2. Seems incredibly great. But please tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and please, if you could, give this video a big like, and keep dreaming. Oh man, this is a great day. I am going to be talking about the Bethesda Showcase, the Xbox Bethesda Showcase on Sunday, and I am going to be talking about the Capcom Showcase on Monday. So be ready for a lot of very hyped and very fun videos. Man, I love this time of year. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.